Welcome to my channel. This is my first video. In this channel, we will talk about countries around the globe. Starting alphabetically, the first country we're gonna discuss is Afghanistan. Afghanistan, officially the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan, is a landlocked country located at the crossroads of Central and South Asia, referred to as the Heart of Asia. The renowned Urdu poet, Allama Iqbal once wrote about the country, "Asia is a body of water and earth, of which the Afghan nation is the heart." From its discord, the discord of Asia, and from its accord, the accord of Asia, Afghanistan is bordered by Pakistan to the east and south, Iran to the west, Turkmenistan to the northwest, Uzbekistan to the north, Tajikistan to the northeast, and China to the northeast and east. The country is predominantly mountainous with plains in the north and the southwest, which are separated by the Hindu Kush mountain range. Kabul is the country's largest city and serves as its capital. The national flag of the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan consists of a white field with a black shahada. It was adopted on August 15, 2021 with the victory of the Taliban in the 2001-2021 war. Since the Anglo-Afghan War of 1919, also known as the War of Independence, Afghanistan has used about 19 national flags, more than any other country in this period. The national flag had black, red, and green colors most of the time during the period. The tricolor flag of the internationally recognized Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, which remains in use internationally and by resistance movements against the Taliban inside Afghanistan, has vertical black, red, and green stripes. It has the national emblem in white at the center. The emblem, which is surrounded by sheaves of wheat, includes a shahada, takbir, rays of sun, a mask with a mihrab, minbar, and 2 Afghan flags, and an inscription stating Afghanistan. It also shows the year 1298 in the solar hydro calendar, that is Gregory, in 1919, the year Afghanistan gained independence from the British influence. A similar vertical tricolored flag with the same colors, which had an emblem surrounded by sheaves of wheat, was first flown by King Aman Ali Khan in July 1928. The black color represents its troubled 19th century history as a protected state. The red color represents the blood of those who fought for independence, specifically the Anglo-African Treaty of 1919. And the green represents hope and prosperity for the future. Some have alternatively interpreted the black to represent history, the red to represent progress, and the green to represent either agricultural prosperity or Islam. Almost every African tricolor flag since 1928 has had the emblem of Afghanistan in the center. Almost every emblem has had a mosque in it, which first appeared in 1901 and wheat first appearing in 1928. Human habitation in Afghanistan dates back to the Middle Paleolithic era. Exhibitions of prehistoric sites suggest that humans were living in what is now Afghanistan at least 50,000 years ago, and that farming communities in the area were among the earliest in the world. An important site of early historical activities, many believe that Afghanistan compares to Egypt in terms of the historical value of its archaeological sites. The country's strategic location along the historic Silk Road has led it to being described. Picture Ascali as the roundabout of the ancient world, known as the graveyard of empires. The land has historically been home to various peoples and has witnessed numerous military campaigns, including those by Alexander the Great, the Maurya Empire, Arab Muslims, the Mongols, the British, the Soviet Union, and most recently by an American-led coalition. Afghanistan also served as the source from which the Greco-Batians and the Mughals, among others, rose to form major empires. The various conquests and periods in both the Iranian and Indian cultural spheres made the area a center for Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, Hinduism, and later Islam throughout history. The modern state of Afghanistan began with the Durrani dynasty in the 18th century, with the Durrani Afghan Empire being formed by Ahmad Shah Durrani. The Durrani Empire led conquests in which, at its peak, encompassed land that spanned from eastern Iran to northern India. Following its decline and the death of Ahmad Shah Durrani and Timur Shah, it was divided into multiple smaller independent kingdoms, including but not limited to Herat, Kandahar and Kabul. Afghanistan would be reunited in the 19th century after wars of unification led by Donald Muhammad Khan, where he conquered the independent principalities in Afghanistan. Khost Muhammad died in 1863, weeks after his last campaign to unite Afghanistan, and as a result, threw Afghanistan back into civil war with his successors. During this time, Afghanistan became a buffer state in the Great Game between the British Empire, in British-ruled India, and the Russian Empire. From India, the British attempted to subjugate Afghanistan but were repelled in the First Anglo-Afghan War. However, the Second Anglo-Afghan War saw a British victory and the successful establishment of British political influence over Afghanistan. Following the Third Anglo-Afghan War in 1919, Afghanistan became free of foreign dominance, and eventually emerged as the independent Kingdom of Afghanistan in June 1926 under Emmanuel Macron. This monarchy lasted almost 50 years until Zahir Shah was overthrown in 1973. Following which the Republic of Afghanistan was established. Since the late 1970s, Afghanistan's history has been dominated by extensive warfare, including coups, revolutions, invasions, insurgencies, and civil wars. The country is currently under the control of the Taliban, an Islamist political movement that returned to power in 2021 after a 20-year-long war with the United States and its allies. At over 652,864 square kilometers, 252,072 square miles, Afghanistan is the world's 41st largest country, slightly bigger than France and smaller than Myanmar, and about the size of state of Texas in the United States. There is no coastline as Afghanistan is landlocked.
Afghanistan shares its longest land border, the Durand Line, with Pakistan to the eastern south, followed by borders with Tajikistan to the northeast, Iran to the west, Turkmenistan to the northwest, Uzbekistan to the north and China to the northeast.
India recognizes a border with Afghanistan through Pakistani-administered Kashmir. The geography in Afghanistan is varied, but is mostly mountainous and rugged, with some unusual mountain ridges accompanied by plateaus and river basins. It is dominated by the Hindu Kush Range. The country's highest point is Nashik at 7,492 meters, 24,580 feet above sea level. The lowest point lies in Jalsjan province along the Alma River bank, at 258 meters 846 feet above sea level. Despite having numerous rivers and reservoirs, large parts of the country are dry. Afghanistan has a continental climate with harsh winters in the central highlands, the glaciated northeast around Nuristan, and the Wakhan corridor, where the average temperature in January is below -15 degrees Celsius or 5 degrees Fahrenheit and can reach -26 degrees Celsius or -15 degrees Fahrenheit. And hot summers in the low-lying areas of the Sistan Basin of the southwest, the Jalalabad Basin in the east, and the Turkestan Plains along the Alma River in the north, where temperatures average over 35 degrees Celsius or 95 degrees Fahrenheit in July and can go over 43 degrees Celsius or 109 degrees Fahrenheit. The country is generally arid in the summers, with most rainfall falling between December and April. The lower areas of northern and western Afghanistan are the driest, with precipitation more common in the east. Although proximate to India, Afghanistan is mostly outside the monsoon zone, except the Nuristan province, which occasionally receives summer monsoon rain. The population of Afghanistan was estimated at 32,900,000 as of 2019 by the Afghanistan Statistics and Information Authority, whereas the UN estimates over 38 million. About 23.9% of them are urbanite, 71.4% live in rural areas, and the remaining 4.7% are nomadic. An additional 3 million or so admins are temporarily housed in neighboring Pakistan and Iran, most of whom were born and raised in those two countries. As of 2013, Afghanistan was the largest refugee-producing country in the world. a title held for 32 years. Africans are divided into several ethno-linguistic groups. The Pashtuns are the largest ethnic group, comprising 39% according to 2019 sociological research data by the Asia Foundation, followed by Tajiks or Farsuns, comprising 37% of the country's population. Generally, the other three major ethnic groups are the Tajiks, Hazaras, and Azuriks. A further 10 other ethnic groups are recognized and each are represented in the Afghan national anthem. Dari and Pashto are the commercial languages of Afghanistan, but bilingualism is very common. Dari, which is a variety of and mutually intelligible with Persian, and very often called Farsi by some Afghans like in Iran, functions as the lingua franca in Kabul as well as in much of the northern and northwestern parts of the country. Native speakers of Dari, of any ethnicity, are sometimes called Farswants. Pashto is the native tongue of the Pashtuns, although many of them are also fluent in Dari while some non-Pashtuns are fluent in Pashto. Despite the Pashtuns having been dominant in Afghan politics for centuries, Dari remained the preferred language for government and bureaucracy. According to CIA World Factbook, Dari Persian is spoken by 78%. First and second language and functions as the lingua franca. While Pashto is spoken by 50%, goes back 10%, English 5%. Turkmen 2%, Urdu 2%. Vishay 1%, Nuristani 1%, Arabic 1%, and Balochi 1%, 2021 estimates. There are a number of smaller regional languages, including Uzbek, Turkmen, Balochi, Pashto, and Nuristani. When it comes to foreign languages among the populace, many are able to speak or understand Hindustani, which is mix of Urdu and Hindi, partly due to returning Afghan refugees from Pakistan and the popularity of Hollywood films respectively. English is also understood by some of the population. Some Africans retained some ability in Russian, which was taught in public schools during the 1980s. The CIA estimated in 2009 that 99.7% of the Afghan population was Muslim, and most are thought to adhere to the Sunni Hanafi school.
According to Pew Research Center, as much as 90% are of the Sunni denomination, 7% Shia and 3% non-denominational. Afghan Sikhs and Hindus are also found in certain major cities, namely Kabul, Jalalabad, Ghazni, Kandahar, accompanied by Gurdwaras and Mandas.
According to Deutsche Welle, in September 20, 2350 remained in the country after 67 were evacuated to India. There was only one Jewish in Afghanistan, Herit-born Zablon Samantov. He remained for years, being the caretaker of the only remaining Afghan synagogue after the second Taliban takeover. He left Afghanistan for the United States. Afghan Christians, who number 500 to 8,000, practice their faith secretly due to intense societal opposition, and there are no public churches. Education in Afghanistan includes K-12 and higher education, which is overseen by the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Higher Education. There are over 16,000 schools in the country and roughly 9 million students. Of this, about 60% are males and 40% females. However, the new regime has thus far forbidden girls and female teachers from returning to secondary schools. Over 174,000 students are enrolled in different universities around the country. About 21% of these are females. Former Education Minister Ghulam Farooq Wardak had stated that construction of 8,000 schools is required for the remaining children who were deprived of formal learning. As of 2018, the literacy rate of the population age 15 and older is 43.02%, of which males 55.48% and females 29.81%. The top universities in Afghanistan are the American University of Afghanistan Stand, followed by Kabul University. Other major universities outside of Kabul include Kandahar University, Herat University, Bulk University, Koundars University, Nangarhar University, and Costa University. After the Taliban regained power in 2021, it became unclear to what extent female education would continue in the country. In March 2022, After they had been closed for some time, it was announced that girls' schools after 6th grade would be reopened shortly. However, shortly before reopening, the order was rescinded and schools for older girls remained closed. According to the Human Development Index, Afghanistan is the 15th least developed country in the world. The average life expectancy is estimated to be around 60 years. The country's maternal mortality rate is 396 deaths per 100,000 live births and its infant mortality rate is 66 to 112.8 deaths in every 1,000 live births. The Ministry of Public Health plans to cut the infant mortality rate to 400 for every 100,000 live births before 2020. The country has more than 3,000 midwives, with an additional 300 to 400 being trained each year. There are over 100 hospitals in Afghanistan, with the most advanced treatments being available in Kabul. The French Medical Institute for Children and Indira Gandhi Children's Hospital in Kabul are the leading children's hospitals in the country. Some of the other leading hospitals in Kabul include the Jamhuriyat Hospital and Jira Hospital. In spite of all this, many Africans traveled to Pakistan and India for advanced treatment. Following the effective collapse of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan during the 2021 Taliban offensive, the Taliban declared the country an Islamic Emirates. A new caretaker government was announced on September 7. As of the 8th of September 2021, no other country had formally recognized the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan as the secure government of Afghanistan. A traditional instrument of governance in Afghanistan is the Loya Jirga or Grand Assembly, a past-done consultative meeting that was mainly organized for choosing a new head of state, adopting a new constitution, or to settle national or regional issues such as war. Loya Jirgas have been held since at least 1747, with the most recent one occurring in August 2020. Afghanistan is administratively divided into 34 provinces, also known as wilayats. Each province has a governor and a capital. The country is further divided into nearly 400 provincial districts, each of which normally covers a city or several villages. Each district is represented by a district governor. Afghanistan's nominal GDP was $21.7 billion in 2018, or $72.9 billion by purchasing power parity. Its GDP per capita is $2,024. Despite having $1 trillion or more in mineral deposits, it remains one of the world's least developed countries. Afghanistan's rough physical geography and its landlocked status has been cited as reasons why the country has always been among the least developed in the modern era. A factor where progress is also slowed by contemporary conflict and political instability. The country imports over $7 billion worth of goods but exports only $784 million, mainly fruits and nuts. It has $2.8 billion in external debt. The service sector contributed the most to the GDP, 5.9%, followed by agriculture 23% and industry 21.1%. While the nation's current account deficit is largely financed with donor money, only a small portion is provided directly to the government budget. The rest is provided to non-budgetary expenditure and donor-designated projects through the United Nations system and non-governmental organizations. Since the Taliban's takeover of the country in August 2021, the United States has frozen about $9 billion in assets belonging to the Afghan Central Bank, blocking the Taliban from accessing billions of dollars held in U.S. bank accounts. Agricultural production is the backbone of Afghanistan's economy and has traditionally dominated the economy, employing about 40% of the workforce as of 2018. The country is known for producing pomegranates, grapes, apricots, melons, and several other fresh and dry fruits. It is also known as the world's largest producer of opium. As much as 16% or more of the nation's economy is derived from the cultivation and sale of opium. It is also one of the world's top producers of cannabis. Saffron, the most expensive spice, grows in Afghanistan, particularly Herat province. In recent years, there has been an uptick in saffron production, which authorities and farmers trying to replace poppy cultivation.
Between 2012 and 2019, the saffron cultivated and produced in Afghanistan was consecutively ranked the world's best by the International Taste and Quality in Institute.
Production hit record high in 2019, 19.5 metric ton of saffron, and 1 kilogram is sold domestically between $634 and $1,147. The country's natural resources include coal, copper, iron, or lithium, uranium, rare earth elements, chromite, gold, zinc, talc, barite, sulfur, lead, marble, precious and semi-precious stones, natural gas, and petroleum. In 2010, U.S. and Afghan government officials estimated that untapped mineral deposits located in 2007 by the U.S. Geological Survey are worth at least $1 trillion. According to the World Bank, 98% of the rural population have access to electricity in 2018, up from 28% in 2008. Overall, the figure stands at 98.7%. As of 2016, Afghanistan produces 1,400 megawatts of power but still imports the majority of electricity by transmission lines from Iran and the Central Asian states. The majority of electricity production is via hydropower, helped by the number of rivers and streams that flow from the mountains. However, electricity is not always reliable and blackouts happen,
including in Kabul. In recent years, an increasing number of solar, biomass and wind power plants have been constructed. Currently under development are the Kasa 1000 project, which will transmit electricity from Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan and the Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India TAPI gas pipeline.
Power is managed by the Afghanistan Brushno Shirkat Dabs, Afghanistan Electricity Company. Important dams include the Kajaki Dam, Dala Dam, and the Sartaban Dam. If you are liking this video, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Tourism is a small industry in Afghanistan due to security issues. Nevertheless, some 20,000 foreign tourists visit the country annually as of 2016. In particular, an important region for domestic and international tourism is the picturesque Bambian Valley, which includes lakes, canyons, and historical sites, helped by the fact it is in a safe area away from insurgent activity. Smaller numbers visit and trek in regions such as the Walk-in Valley. Is also one of the world's most remote communities. From the late 1960s onwards, Afghanistan was a popular stop on the famous Hippie Trail, attracting many Europeans and Americans. Coming from Iran, the trail traveled through various Afghan provinces and cities, including Herat, Kandahar and Kabul, before crossing to northern Pakistan, northern India, and Nepal. Tourism peaked in 1977, the year before the start of political instability and armed conflict. The city of Ghazni has significant history and historical sites, and together with Bambian City have in recent years been voted Islamic Cultural Capital and South Asia Cultural Capital respectively. The cities of Herat, Kandahar, Bulq, and Zoranj are also very historic. The minaret of Jam in the Hari River Valley is a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
A cloak reputedly worn by Islam's prophet Muhammad is kept inside the Shrine of the Cloak in Kandahar, a city founded by Alexander the Grey and the first capital of Afghanistan. The citadel of Alexander in the western city of Herat has been renovated in recent years and is a popular attraction. In the north of the country is the Shrine of Ali, believed by many to be the location where Ali was buried. The National Museum of Afghanistan is located in Kabul and hosts a large number of Buddhist, factory in Greek, and early Islamic antiquities. The museum suffered greatly by civil war but has been slowly restoring since the early 2000s. Due to Afghanistan's geography, transport between various parts of the country has historically been difficult. The bone of Afghanistan's road network is Highway 1, often called the Ring Road, which extends for 2,210 kilometers, 1,370 miles, and connects 5 major cities, Kabul, Goni, Kandahar, Herat, and Mazar-e Sharif, with bursts to Kunduz and Jalolabad in various border crossings, while skirting around the mountains of the Hindu Kush.
Air transport in Afghanistan is provided by the national carrier, Ariana Afghan Airlines, and by the private company, Chem Air. Airlines from a number of countries also provide flights in and out of the country.
Background Air Base is a major military airfield. The country has 3 rail links: 1, a 75-kilometer, 47 miles, line from Maysarai Sharif to the Uzbekistan border, a 10-kilometer, 6.2 miles, long line from Torigandi to the Turkmenistan border, and a short link from Kainan across the Turkmen border to Turkey.
There are various proposals for the construction of additional rail lines in the country. Private vehicle ownership has increased substantially since the early 2000s. Taxis are yellow in color and consist of both cars and auto rickshaws. In rural Afghanistan, villagers often use donkeys, mules or horses to transport or carry goods. Camels are primarily used by the Kochi nomads. Bicycles are popular throughout Afghanistan. Africans have both common cultural features and those that differ between the regions of Afghanistan, each with distinctive cultures partly as a result of geographic obstacles that divide the country. Family is the mainstay of Afghan society, and families are often headed by a patriarch. Afghans, particularly Pashtuns, are noted for their tribal solidarity and high regard for personal honor. One writer considers the tribal system to be the best way of organizing large groups of people in a country that is geographically difficult, and in a society that, from a materialistic point of view, has an uncomplicated lifestyle.
There are various Afghan tribes and an estimated 2 to 3 million nomads.
Afghan culture is deeply Islamic, but pre-Islamic practices persist. In the villages, families typically occupy mud brick houses, or compounds with mud brick or stone-walled houses. About 15% of the population are nomadic, locally called kokers. When nomads pass villages, they often buy supplies such as tea, wheat, and kerosene from the villagers. Villagers buy wool and milk from the nomads. Afghan clothing for both men and women typically consists of various forms of shallower chemise, especially Perihen Tunban and Kate Pardik. Women would normally wear a chador for head covering. Some women, typically from highly conservative communities, with a burqa, a full body covering. These were worn by some women of the Pashtun community well before Islam came to the region, but the Taliban enforced this dress on women when they were in power. Another popular dress is the chopin, which acts as a coat. The caracal is a hat made from the fur of a specific regional breed of sheep. It was favored by former kings of Afghanistan and became known to much of the world in the 21st century when it was constantly worn by President Hamid Karzai. The papal is another traditional hat originating from the far east of the country. It was popularly worn by the guerrilla leader Ahmad Shah Massoud. The Masari hat originates from northern Afghanistan. The nation has a complex history that has survived either in its current cultures or in the form of various languages and monuments. Afghanistan contains many remnants from all ages, including Greek and Buddhist stupas, monasteries, monuments, temples, and Islamic minarets. Among the most well-known are the Great Mosque of Herat, the Blue Mosque, the Minaret of Jam, the Keel Zina, the Kalaibos in Leshkaga, the ancient Greek city of Icon. However, many of its historic monuments have been damaged in modern times due to the civil wars. The 2 famous Buddhas of Bohemian were destroyed by the Taliban, who regarded them as idolatrous. Despite that, archaeologists are still finding Buddhist relics in different parts of the country, some of them dating back to the 2nd century. As there was no colonialism in the modern era in Afghanistan, European-style architecture is rare but does exist. The Vic III Arch at Pakman and the Darul Aman Palace in Kabul were built in this style in the 1920s by the Africans themselves. Carpet weaving is an ancient practice in Afghanistan, and many of these are still handmade by tribal and nomadic people today. Carpets have been produced in the region for thousands of years and traditionally done by women. Some crafters express their feelings through the designs of rugs. For example, after the outbreak of the Soviet-Afghan War, war rugs, a variant of Afghan rugs, were created with designs representing pain and misery caused by the conflict. Pottery has been crafted in Afghanistan for millennia. The village of Histroy, north of Kabul, is in particular a major center known for its unique turquoise and green pottery, and their methods of crafting have remained the same for centuries. The lands of Afghanistan have a long history of art, with the world's earliest known usage of oil painting found in cave murals in the country. A notable art style that developed in Afghanistan in eastern Pakistan is Ghana art, produced by a fusion of Greco-Roman art and Buddhist art between the 1st and 7th century CE. Since the 1900s, the nation began to use Western techniques in art. Abdul Ghaffar Brushner was a prominent Afghan painter and sketch artist from Kabul during the 20th century. Afghanistan has around 350 radio stations and over 200 television stations. Radio Television Afghanistan originating from 1925 as the state public broadcaster. Television programs began airing in the 1970s, and today there are many private television channels such as Tullo and Chamchat TV. The first Afghan newspaper was published in 1873, and there are hundreds of print outlets today. African cuisine is largely based upon the nation's chief crops such as wheat, maize, barley, and rice. Accompanying these staples are native fruits and vegetables as well as dairy products such as milk, yogurt, and whey. Kapula polo is the national dish of Afghanistan. The nation's culinary specialties reflect its ethnic and geographic diversity. Afghanistan is known for its high-quality pomegranates, grapes, and sweet melons. Tea is a favorite drink among Afghans, and a typical diet consists of non-yogurts, rice, and meat. Classic Persian and Pashto poetry are a cherished part of Afghan culture. Poetry has always been one of the major educational pillars in the region, to the level that it has integrated itself into culture. One of the poetic styles is called land. A popular theme in Afghan folklore and mythology are Devs, a type of monstrous creatures. Thursdays are traditionally poetry night in the city of Harads, when men, women and children gather and recite both ancient and modern poems. Kushal Khan, contact of the 17th century, is considered the national poet. Other notable poets include Rabba Abakti, Jami, Rahman Baba, Kalalala Khalili, and Parwan Paswak. Sport in Afghanistan is managed by the Afghan Sports Federation. Cricket and association football are the two most popular sports in the country. The Afghan Sports Federation promotes cricket, association football, basketball, volleyball, golf, handball, boxing, taekwondo, weightlifting, bodybuilding, track and field, skating, bowling, snooker, chess, and other sports. Afghanistan sports teams are increasingly celebrating titles at national events. The Afghan national cricket team, which was formed in 2001, participated in the 2009 ICC World Cup qualifier, 2010 ICC World Cricket League Division 1 and the 2010 ICC World 2020. It won the ACC 2020 Cup in 2007, 2009, 2011, and 2013. The team eventually made it and played in the 2015 Cricket World Cup. The traditional and the national sport of Afghanistan is buzkashi, mainly popular in the north, but also having a following in other parts of the country. Afghanistan's official New Year starts with Nowruz, an ancient tradition that started as a Zoroastrian celebration in present-day Iran, and with which it shares the annual celebration along with several other countries. It occurs every year at the vernal equinox. In Afghanistan, Nowruz is typically celebrated with music and dance, as well as holding muskashi tournaments. Yalda, another nationally celebrated ancient tradition, commemorates the ancient goddess Mitra and marks the longest night of the year on the eve of the winter solstice, Seli Zamestan, usually falling on 20 or December 21st, during which families gather together to recite poetry and eat fruits, particularly the red fruits, watermelon and pomegranate, as well as mixed nuts. Religious festivals are also celebrated as a predominantly Muslim country. Islamic events and festivals such as Ramadan, Eid al-Fitr are widely celebrated annually in Afghanistan. The Sikh festival of Vaisakhi is celebrated by the Sikh community and the Hindu festival Diwali by the Hindu community. National Independence Day is celebrated on August 19 to mark the Anglo-Afghan Treaty of 1919 under King Emmanuel Khan and the country's full independence. Several international celebrations are also officially held in Afghanistan, such as International Workers' Day and International Women's Day. Some regional festivals include the Premier Festival, which celebrates the culture of the Wakhi and Kyrgyz peoples, the Red Flower Festival, during Nowruz in Mazar-i Sharif, and the Bambora Festival in Bambian Province.